All right, I think we got let's roll here, and or else we're gonna jump too far ahead. So,
Yeah, let's do it.
everybody, my name is Mitchell Hora. Thanks for joining us today on another Topsoil webinar. We've been cracking out a ton of material, and glad to have you folks join us. For folks that didn't make it, these are all recorded. All of our webinars are on our Continue My YouTube page, and they go on the Topsoil podcast as well if you prefer listening to our material in audio format. On Continue Mag, real quick, we're helping provide farmers with a digital roadmap for soil health success. We've been really pushing on carbon intensity scoring. We're going to dig into carbon intensity a bunch here today with my buddy Steve. That carbon is a bonus. You need to be thinking about managing for profitability, for yield, for low cost production. Do good agronomic practices. That is step number one. And I've got Steve on because it just a company that we've been working with for a long time. We've been having good results with it. And but really, we're not going to talk just about like the product and stuff. We're going to be talking about the big picture concept. And basically, like, yeah, we're going to talk about products and got Dakota Bio here because like it's just one of those tools that I've been personally utilizing, but also it's because of the big picture opportunity here that farmers need to be thinking about this stuff from that kind of level. So, but hey, if you want to utilize some of these tools, I'm having success with them. So, just a little plug for you, Steve.
Some of these products help you achieve a better CI score. That's
right.
the whole point.
We're gonna dig in. So my guest here today, Steve Vistad. Steve is with Dakota Bio. They're a biologicals company. I don't know, Steve, do you guys still consider yourself kind of the new kids on the block, or just more so like it's just maybe not spending quite as much money on marketing as what some of the other biologicals companies do?
That's well said. It's we still consider ourselves new and young, and I don't think that'll ever change because we're hungry.
Yeah.
And we're just really excited about our products and what we're bringing to market. So yeah, I've been doing this a very long time.
I know, yeah. I know you. I know you and like
anymore.
plenty of the guys on the team are not new to this space and not new to being able to help farmers and make decisions and utilize products as part of that. You guys aren't new to it, but a lot of folks I'm sure haven't necessarily. I'm sure a lot of folks here haven't necessarily heard of Dakota Bio, but unless maybe you've seen some of our stuff. But so we'll give a little bit of background kind of on some of that, talking on Dakota Bio, some of like thinking about biological products. Again, I think it's important for everyone, like, hey, we're going to talk about some of the specifics here of these products, but be thinking about this as kind of the category here as well. You need to be thinking holistically about managing your fertility, managing yield as we go into 2024, managing the 4 R's, right place, right rate, right product, right time, because managing this and being efficient directly leads to improving your CI. And plus, improves water quality, improves your bottom line, like all these good things here as well. So that's what we're talking about here today. And glad to have you guys join us. So Steve, we'll let you kind of take over here a little bit. Maybe tee up again, like a little bit more like what's your official title besides like I just say Steve runs the show. I don't know if that's a title though.
No, I don't run the show. We got a lot of great people that run the show behind the scenes, but so I am one of the co-founders. And I run the sales and marketing. So I lead the sales team.
Yep.
But in a smaller company that really wants to be efficient and successful, we all wear many hats.
That's right.
But my biggest role is working with the sales team and the products.
Yep.
I kind of sum it into, I call things farm boy English, because you can get a little too technical sometimes, or I can,
Yeah.
But I do a lot of the translating of the science from microbiology to farm boy English.
Love it. I call it speaking farmer language.
Yep, exactly. And it's hard sometimes.
I love it. So you got to just kind of direct me on how you want to kind of go through some of this and how we're thinking about again, like, hey, folks, be thinking about how this is going to tie to your specific operation for next year. That's the angle here.
Yes. So DB32 is a brand new product.
Yeah.
We haven't even tested it with you yet. We've put it in a few places, but you're I believe you're on the list for next year, Mitchell.
I hope so.
This is a very rapid growing segment of the market in agriculture right now across the Midwest. But it's a biological decomposition product. So to decompose those stalks, and it's really about getting that nutrient load out of that corn stalk, getting it into the soil in a usable form to feed the next crop. Because what we run into, and it depends on your climate and your soil type. These corn stalks and root balls, they are there for, depending on your moisture and your climate, 2 to 5 years. That's a lot of nutrient tie-up. So everything we do is, how do we make these nutrients more available that are there? Let's access them now and feed your crop.
I think it's good that we start with this here too, and that new product. There's this concept though is basically just speeding up the release of those nutrients that are there, but also folks be thinking about this here too of hey, we need to be able to improve plantability in the spring, get that soil to warm up in the spring, make it easier to go to a no-till or a reduced till system. And if we're not going to till to incorporate the residue, this might be a good option for a lot of folks. How we were looking at this kind of product for my own farm is not necessarily on our corn stalks, because I got my biology is freaking cranking. I don't necessarily have an issue with residue for my corn stalks. What we were looking at exploring this product is where we have our relay crop. Because in our relay crop, I've got all that cereal rye residue, plus I have soybean residue. Because remember, I planted my cover crop into corn stalks. I planted my soybeans into the cover crop. Then I harvested the rye in July. Now I've got a lot of residue. So to me, I want that residue broken back down, because now I'm going back to corn the following year. So that's where I think we've got opportunity to break down that massive amount of rye residue faster.
I agree, Mitchell, because that's what I've been talking to Carolyn about testing with you guys. Because break down the residue, yes, increase the nutrients, but also to break down and open that canopy of that rye to get the light to those soybeans coming underneath, because that is such a crucial development time of year for those soybeans.
Interesting. Oh, actually, that's a good idea. When a farmer here is burning down their cover crop next year, could this be tank mixed with the burn down herbicide?
Yes.
Or should it go after?
Yes. Here's the deal. This is a very robust biological blend. And you can mix it with nutritionals. Mix it with fungicides, herbicides, water. It's really easy to use, and that's crucial to us because we're all farm boys here, and we understand the operational side. It's got to be easy. You can put this out. Let's say a lot of guys put it out in the fall post harvest. Then most people put it out pre-plant with those pre-emerge herbicides in the spring. Some people will apply this with that first herbicide pass on soybeans as late as that. And because it's so warm at that time of year and you have moisture, hopefully you have moisture, but it really works very, very quickly.
Are the microbes going to eat my soybeans though? My living soybeans, if I spray this on them?
No, it has to be dead plants.
All right. I'm just checking, Steve. I'm just
dead
checking.
Plants.
So folks thinking about okay, that nutrient cycle. Okay, cool. You got some the nutrients are tied up in that.
This is basically Iowa State. Giving the average nutrient load for the corn residue after harvest.
Nice.
If you grow 200 bushel corn, there's 90 pounds of N, 18 pounds of P, 104 pounds of K. But when you break that down into those bold bullet points there, 85% of that nitrogen is NH4. I mean, that's available. That is
an ammonia
massive nitrogen load.
Interesting. So looking at being able to break down, because it's now biologically available, quantifying that with something like the Haney test to be able to show what's actually available. And if you can reduce your synthetic fertilizer, Of course, that's saving you money. Maybe saving a pass across the field and some diesel fuel, but also this directly ties to CI.
Exactly. The other thing too that ties to CI is if you're wanting to go to some form of reducing your tillage,
yeah,
and that's where my questions are going to come to you, because I'll start peppering you with questions because I got so much to learn about CI score, but I know tillage is a factor in
that's
that.
right. It's a big factor. So it's one of the major drivers. It's going to impact your score. Figure if you can be no till, if you go from a reduced till to a no till, figure you're going to be in about 5 or so points for a lot of places. It depends on the county, but a 5-point CI reduction plus if you could save on some fertility. I mean, you're talking the ability to be looking at a 8, 9, 10-point savings in a short amount of time. And if you can get some yield benefit or some plant health kind of benefit, you're really talking. So,
well, I watched your webinar yesterday. By the way, it was great.
Thank you.
Loved it. Learned a lot. What was the value of those points again? Can you remind me?
Yep. So each point, okay. So, and folks, hopefully, this is a little bit different style than some of our previous webinars. Steve and I were kind of planning on this. Okay, we want to riff back and forth, dig into this. I hope you guys are enjoying. It's a little bit different style.
At least I was planning on just shooting the breeze with you and peppering you with the questions.
I love it.
Both of us.
And so each point, folks that are on this, the point being here is be thinking about how are you going to manage this stuff for next year. So every point that you can reduce your carbon intensity, it's worth a conservative 5.4 cents per bushel. So if I can reduce my CI by 10 points, that's 54 cents a bushel. Now, that's the total value of the tax credits. What we don't yet know is what's the farmer's cut. We don't know if the farmer is going to get 25%, 10%, 50%, 75%. I don't know what the farmer cut is going to be. But what you need to be thinking about now is what is your carbon intensity score? How are you going to optimize that score on your 2024 crop? And you got to manage all the data and get it verified if you want to get a substantial payment. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with Steve at this time of year too, is like, we need to be thinking about some of these things and planning holistically for next year, because every point that you can reduce, it brings financial value if you're playing in a biofuel supply chain and that biofuel company is able to get 45Z tax credits, which is the math that we are talking about here. A lot of material on it. You can see in some of our other webinars, but this is going to play directly to some of that, but it's a balance here. We don't want to just cut inputs. Like we don't want to just cut, but you need to be thinking about how do we balance, how do we optimize?
Correct. You have to cut. You have to be very careful on a farm when you're cutting nitrogen or phosphorus or potassium. You got to learn how to do it. But I believe a product like this is a really good place to start because you know what's out there in those stocks.
What I think is interesting is with these programs, there's going to be a lot of farmers that are going to be coming to think about reducing tillage, adding cover crops, and going more this route. A lot of farms are coming at this from a place of degraded soils. They don't have great biology. They have problems cycling residue, especially if you're further north and you don't have as many heat days like I do here in sunny and 75 Southeast Iowa. So, if you can jumpstart the program, that's where I think there's some opportunity.
Yeah. And you get a little farther west, central Dakotas, and you get a little reduced moisture. It just slows the process down. Now, I love these two pictures.
Yeah.
Let me dive into this for a second.
Yeah.
This is no-till corn, obviously.
Yeah.
The left, at least on my screen, it's the left, is the untreated.
Yeah.
The right was a fall applied DB32.
Yeah.
And these pictures were taken on the day of planting, and these are side by side. So here's what happens with these residue products. A lot of farmers have very high expectations. I mean, let's be honest. This is not a moldboard plow.
No.
If you drive by that treated field at 60 miles an hour in your pickup before any tillage or before a no-till planter goes through there, you can't see it.
Can't really see it.
But when you walk out there, it's like all the plant material just turns to dust. Everything is just eaten out of the middle, and it just poof. Now you run that no-till through it and look at those seed rows.
Yeah.
You got the black soil exposed.
Yeah.
That is just making a massive difference just in seed placement and warming up soil.
It's just that residue is more degraded, right? It's just more brittle. It's just more busted down. So when the planter goes through it, it's easier to just kind of chop through it, move that residue with the trash rippers or with just a regular opening system, being able to make planting into that residue easier.
Correct. Because then we're seeing improved seed placement. We're seeing improved stand counts,
the depth and all that for sure.
Just because of we're breaking down that residue.
Sure. What not to get too technical on it, but the question I've got, like, do we know what's really like going on? Or like basically is it that the microbes are kind of eating some of those carbon chains, like kind of eating up some of the lignin and breaking it into smaller molecules or something? Like, is that kind of how we should be thinking about what they're actually doing from a scientific standpoint?
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. They're because it's natural.
They're eating carbon, right? They're eating the carbon and breaking it down.
Correct. And then the carrier, because it's a liquid product.
Yeah.
Carrier, you kind of think of, it's a very unique formula, but think of it like a biological feed, like a biostimulant.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is improving the soil health of the biology that's in your soil.
It's already there.
And just giving ours a turbo boost of what we're applying.
Nice. So some living microbes plus some food for the microbes, get the stuff broken down. Again, I think interesting for folks that are in a transition, folks that are further north, folks that want to really make sure that they are getting those nutrients cycled. And like I said, in my situation, I've got a lot of rye residue out there and soybean residue, and I want to get it cycled back for my corn crop. So a unique, opportunity within our operation, but I like it. Keep rolling, or any other thoughts on?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to talk about residue more, or do we?
I thought that was good. If folks have questions, feel free. Use the chat or use the Q&A function. But Steve and I will just keep rolling. So
yeah, absolutely. So PheNom. So PheNom's been out a couple years now. It's still a relatively new product, but it is one of these products that is a biological. It's a bacteria. It's a nitrogen fixing bacteria. What's unique about the PheNom versus, there's only a couple really in the marketplace to compete with PheNom, but what's unique about PheNom is we have a seed treatment that goes right on the seed. We have then PheNom can go in furrow or foliar.
Yeah.
But what makes it really special is it lives inside the plant. So it's an endophyte. So as your plant breathes and respirates, it's pulling in air from the atmosphere. Our atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, but it's N2. This is converting that nitrogen into a usable form. So the longer it's in your plant, the more it grows, the more it multiplies, the more nitrogen you're pulling in from the atmosphere, converting to feed itself.
Interesting.
Nitrogen.
We've tried this a couple of years, and where we really were seeing it is we're cutting back on our nitrogen by a lot, and we were looking at, adding this in there to replace so that we can cut back on our synthetic nitrogen that directly impacts my carbon intensity score. But I got to make sure I don't lose yield. So we're able to offset, lower our nitrogen, but maintain or grow our yield by utilizing stuff like this. But so Steve, we were using it mostly in furrow. Is the microbes like basically, are they able to kind of breathe in some of that like atmospheric nitrogen through like the roots and the below ground biomass, or are they getting stuff like mostly in the above ground?
They populate the plant.
Interesting.
So that's why we want it in that plant as early as possible.
Yeah.
Because it tends to grow and colonize just inside the stoma. So that's the little openings on the underside of the leaves and the stalks open up. That's where air from the atmosphere enters that plant. And the PheNom bacteria are right there to feed on that N2 coming in from our atmosphere.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great discovery, and it's a wonderful product. We got great success with it.
Yeah.
But here's the but. You mentioned it. It's cutting nitrogen. That's such a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
We can't go and put just one number on it because that's what everybody asks. How many pounds of nitrogen can I cut? every hybrid, every soil type,
All
every
different.
climate. It's all the forms of nitrogen loss.
Yeah.
I mean, we do a lot of testing where we'll cut 50 pounds.
Yeah.
That's our biggest number. And I mean, I'm not going to tell everybody in the country to cut 50 pounds of N on corn.
Yeah.
But that's what we do in our tests. And we're averaging about a 3 bushel increase over the non-reduced.
Yeah. Nitrogen. Wow. Plus with the reduction in nitrogen and still see higher yields.
Yes.
That's cool.
And then it's a big component of your CI score.
That's right. So that's what I was going to dig into. Okay. So here's how the actual GREET model and carbon intensity works. Okay. If you just cut the fertilizer, it does reduce your CI as long as you maintain yield. Okay. So cut fertilizer, maintain yield, it lowers your CI by a portion. If you maintain the nitrogen but grow your yield, that actually helps your CI more than cutting. Now, the best is, of course, what you just said of do both. Cut your nitrogen a little bit and grow your yield. That's the ultimate. Okay. But if I had a choice of one versus the other, how the CI works, okay, this is really great, hopefully good insight for everyone. If I had a choice of cutting my nitrogen and maintain yield or maintain my nitrogen and grow my yield, it's better from a CI perspective to grow the yield. Plus, of course, I have more bushels to sell and I have more bushels to sell with a CI premium attached to it. So actually, it would be better for a lot of farmers who maybe have already been following our stuff for a while. Maybe they've already kind of been cutting back on nitrogen. It's likely better to maintain your nitrogen, utilize the biological product to chase more yield rather than to make a significant cut. But again, it's probably a combo for most people. It's a combo of, hey, can we dial back our nitrogen a little bit and still continue to grow that yield to find kind of a new equilibrium?
So let me make a statement and kind of question you all at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been running PheNom on independent research farms for 4 years. Fifth year of research is 2023. Don't have our data yet, you know, from the independents.
Guys like us that haven't gotten some data
like
back
you. That's right. That's right. But so 4 years, so 2019, 2020, 21, 22. Hundreds and thousands of plots replicated, independently managed across 11 states. We're at, without cutting nitrogen, we're averaging an 8 bushel increase on corn. With cutting nitrogen, that's much fewer data points. Okay. I don't know the exact number, but much fewer. It's not thousands, obviously. It's probably dozens, you know, it's pretty small. With cutting 50 pounds of nitrogen, we're averaging plus 3 bushels versus the non-cut. So you got 200 pounds of nitrogen, grow the corn. You got 150 pounds of nitrogen, grow the corn, add PheNom, plus 3 is that average.
Interesting.
That's fewer locations, fewer data points.
Sure. But what's good is like, it's not what I was just suggesting of maintain your yield and lower nitrogen. You're actually lowering nitrogen plus you're seeing a little bit of yield. Very interesting. So what we might do is maybe let's keep going through some of these, but maybe we run a little audible and we'll pull up topsoil and let's just play with the numbers and run both of those scenarios and just show.
That'd be great. I'll save data on my.
All right. Let's keep cruising through some of this. We'll save that as a teaser for the end. So folks, you got to hang out. I'll pull up topsoil and let's play with both of those scenarios and see what happens with it. And it's basically kind of what we've been doing where on our farm, we're already cutting, we're like 155, 160 units of nitrogen going after, 210 to 240 bushel corn. Some of our fields higher than that. So we're kind of already in some of that balance of reducing.
I think what's most common, correct me if I'm wrong, but I talked to a lot of growers across a very large geography in this country. I think what's most common is a 1-to-1 ratio. They're applying, a pound of nitrogen
per bushel. That's right.
I think I know I see a lot of guys and work with a lot of guys that are getting into that 0.7 ratio, 0.6. And that's to be really proud of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is not, I see a lot of info, and that's not the norm, but I am seeing it more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's where we
great
got to be able to
situation.
go. It's those efficiencies. So it's saving money for farmers, continuing to do more with less, the definition of sustainability, and it helps your CI. So,
Okay.
but I like
Yeah,
it.
this picture here you got, that's just normal. That's very normal what we see
Yeah,
about
all the
September
time.
time, that corn is cannibalizing and firing because it doesn't have enough nitrogen. It's
Yeah.
pulling the nitrogen out of the lower leaves and the roots in the stalks to fill your ear.
Yeah, yeah. It's mobilizing that nitrogen, moving it around. Versus
And
if you've
then,
got the nitrogen fixers already in the plant, you don't
yes,
have to move it around.
and that field right there is not a nitrogen reduction field. There's
It's
no
normal
nitrogen
nitrogen.
produced.
Got it.
Okay, so Frenzy, I'll speed it up because we could visit all day, Mitchell. But
Yeah, yeah.
okay, Frenzy is brand new, patent pending. We just launched it late last year. This is our only product that's not a living biological. It's not a bacteria. This is an enzyme that is produced by a bacteria. We are just removing that enzyme from the bacteria, super concentrating it, putting it in the jug, and selling it.
Interesting.
And it is a very, very good stress mitigator. So it directly affects mitochondria and how mitochondria is, get damaged under stress. So we're keeping that output. We're increasing the output of the mitochondria, which brings us nutrient efficiency. So all of our products really revolve around supplying a nutrient. PheNom supplies nitrogen. Frenzy causes that plant to use nitrogen more efficiently and helps it recover from harmful, stressful conditions.
Sure. So thinking about, for herbicide damage or for if you're getting disease coming in, being able to utilize this to offset some of that. Now, interesting
Drought,
thing drought for sure.
heat,
Drought, too
stress.
much water, not enough water, any of those stresses. We've been playing on our farm with a lot of, can we get rid of fungicide and utilize more natural stuff? Because fungicides are probably going to be killing some of our good guys as well. I don't have direct data on that, but we've got some observations and it kind of makes sense. Those fungicides are not selective. They're going to kill all kinds of different species, good guys and bad. So if we can avoid utilizing them, that helps. An interesting thing from carbon intensity perspective, fungicide does not actually go into the CI calculation. Herbicide and insecticide, that goes in, but for some reason, fungicide, they don't put it in. What does factor in is diesel fuel usage. Okay, so the diesel fuel usage that does get factored in, but hey, if you could tank mix, utilize some of these things with a pass that was already going to go on, that is where from a carbon intensity perspective, you could see improvement. But also keep in mind, as I was explaining before, on the balance, improving your yield improves that CI value, and of course, directly is going to impact your revenue opportunity and impact your bottom line. So that's really what this is about, like maintain that yield, growing the yield, and hopefully doing it in a little bit more natural manner.
I did not know all those factors played into the CI score.
Oh yeah, herbicide and insecticide and diesel fuel, but not fungicide.
I learn every time I hear you talk, Mitchell.
I try to keep it more like simplified. Those are minor, because you're putting on minor amounts of those pesticides, so they're not a major driver, but they do get factored in.
Awesome. Interesting. Okay, this is just a quick slide of a mitochondria that Frenzy increases the output. Mitochondria fuel, they convert all the nutrients to fuel every process in a plant. When they become damaged, they shed off the damage and become smaller and have lower output. And so I could turn this slide into a 30-minute talk and I won't bore you with it, but it's
essentially it's converting and making those nutrients and stuff available, the efficiencies of the plant.
Correct. And your recovery from damage. So for example, best time to apply on Frenzy on corn is as early as possible. Have that corn stress-free early to create the greatest yield potential.
Just stick around and it continues to kind of help and it lingers in the plant for a while, or is this something that you see guys maybe applying multiple times?
We have people playing with that. Honestly, I'm kind of a cheap farm boy and I have a hard time asking people to apply our products twice, but it certainly wouldn't hurt you, and you could. We'd gladly accept the sale. So
But
beans, for example, about R1 with that fungicide pass, amazing on beans, because what you're doing is you're extending the window of catching that August rain to fill
sure,
pods and preventing and reducing pod abortion in August on soybeans. It's phenomenal on beans.
Keeping those nutrients cycling. I like it. I like it. What the heck is
B4.
this?
So B4 is a phosphorus and potassium solubilizer. So we put it on either in furrow or as a seed treatment on the seed, but it needs to contact the seed and then it grows on the root. So that little picture on the side, that's where you stain the bacteria and germinate the seed, and it can grow as fast as your root. It's feeding off those root exudates.
Yeah.
So it clings to the root and keeps reproducing and multiplying and just coating that root. It's called a biofilm. But all we're doing is we're using the root as a carrier. We're treating the soil where you have unavailable phosphorus and potassium and all these other nutrients to biologically convert those to a usable form in the soil that touches your root.
Well, what I thought was wild, we had Liz Haney was a guest here a couple weeks ago. She was talking about how, I forget the term of it. I've got it in my notes somewhere. Maybe somebody that was on can remind me of the term, but we were talking about how the plant roots actually will suck in microbes, living microbes, like pull some of the nutrients out of them and then push them back out into the wild. I didn't realize that. My understanding in just my simple farmer brain was, I thought that the microbes, like kind of living out there, the plant would push out carbon to incentivize more of that growth, get more bacteria, and then the predators would come through, eat the bacteria, and basically kind of poop them out, or they're messy eaters and stuff. So they'd have bits and pieces. And then those are more like plant available nutrients that the plant can use. But we were talking about like that the plant would be actually taking some of these microbes that now have some of this phosphorus and potassium, or they're chewing on stuff and leaving bits and pieces left over. But that actually being pulled in and used.
It's kind of all of the above, to be honest with you, Mitchell.
Yeah.
There's so many different forms of this happening with different types of microbes and different types of plants in soil. We tend to just really kind of summarize it because it's so complex. But they live on the outside of the root and they just coat it.
Yeah, they're just coating it. Well, that's where they're interacting with the soil.
We call this product, I call this product, it's our gateway drug. Yeah. This is the easiest and most economical product we sell, and it just works. For these new people in the biological world, it's like, I just want to try something. We give them B4 because this generates more phone calls all summer long of, oh my gosh, I can see right to the row where I applied that stuff.
Nice. Easy. Couple things on this, tying all this stuff back to CI and how farmers should be thinking about this category in nutrient management. Reducing your nitrogen is weighted heavier than reducing your P and K.
Okay.
However, so from a CI standpoint, so it's actually would be better looking at the phenom kind of side of things versus B4. Now, of course, it's just how they're weighted, but a lot of farmers could probably do more to reduce their P and K than what they could do to reduce their nitrogen. But maybe it depends on farm by farm. What I think is most interesting on something like this is in the soil, there's already hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of P and K in your soil in just the top 6 inches. All you got to do is make it more available. A lot of it's just tied up. It's just hard chemistry, and it's tied up in the actual soil and in those colloids. We just got to be able to get it into an available form and cycle it better. But now, because we're looking at that nutrient makes it more biologically available, used by the plant. Sure, we remove some with the grain or with whatever we're going to harvest, but a lot of that is going to be left on the field, recycled back in a more available form. And therefore, over time, you're getting more nutrient in that available form. That's what's allowed on our farm, what's allowed us to cut back by as much as we have for our P and K, because we just got more of it in an available form. But we've just done it with the cover crops and utilizing a variety of biological products in conjunction to each other to be able to get more nutrients in cycle, because a lot of them are just locked up.
Well, that's why B4 is our introductory product for people that just want to try something.
Yeah.
Because all soils tie up P and K.
Sure.
There
and a
is not
lot
a
of it that we
soil on
apply.
the planet that doesn't.
Yeah,
Do you have a lot of tie up or a little tie up? You
sure,
have some.
sure,
You
sure.
can't have zero.
Yeah, interesting. Anything else here, or we can kind of going through some of this stuff. I think it was good. Again, thinking of like, hey, like folks that are on this, we need to be thinking holistically. We need to be thinking about managing what we control, what we can control our inputs, control our production cost, be able to try to drive as much yield as we can. And obviously biologicals are the big kind of next thing, right? And like they've been the thing for a while, but it's just, I think they're really becoming mainstream. Like farmers, it's not just like, oh, here's this new like kind of fad. Like it's not a fad. It's like there's a lot of stuff that's been around and that has actually like proven to actually be really worth something.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with biologicals since 2007.
Yeah.
So is that still a fad? I don't know. I've survived
Nah.
this long, but that's where, back to what you said, I think is really important. I want to touch on it because we do the same thing, is think about this holistically.
Yeah.
All of the Dakota Bio products do different things. They're all designed and geared to solve a problem.
Yep.
And they do it in different areas of the plant. So think about PheNom is inside the plant. If you need nitrogen, it's PheNom.
Sure.
B4 is external on the roots. That's for P and K. DB32, that's on your residue to convert those nutrients, make them available.
Yep.
The frenzy, that is inside the plant, helping it battle stress and upregulating that nutrient efficiency. So, you could use all of our products on the same acre. They all do different things, but it's really about what problem do you have? What goal do you want to achieve? And then this is how we're helping you achieve.
That's right. That's right. Target that specific item. I like it. Should we, I got Topsoil pulled up. I think this would be kind of fun. Hopefully folks like this. Definitely, put any questions that you got and stuff in the chat, or in the Q&A. Let's just play around with some of these numbers that Steve was talking about before and how I would approach this and how we're thinking about it on our farm. This is an example farm in Topsoil, though, our software, TopSoil.Ag. And so this farm's just got a couple fields plugged in, but actually to play with some of these numbers, you don't actually have to have any fields plugged in at all. How we do this is folks can go to TopSoil.Ag. You can check the box on the crops that you grow and then just fill out a profile for what your typical program would be. So let's talk about corn here. So in this farm, this guy's not using cover crop, therefore not terminating cover crop. We're talking here 165 units of spring anhydrous. We're talking 150 pounds of a spring potash, and we got 40 gallons of 32% going on in season, like Y dropped. This also has some vertical till in the fall and the spring. We're looking at 220 bushel corn. And this does have a starter going on with it here as well. Got a herbicide going on, 2 passes of herbicide. This one does have an insecticide on it. This does have a fungicide, but no irrigation.
Okay.
So what we got?
I said, I'm following you.
You following? So fairly typical 220 bushel corn. And with those practices, with some reduced tillage, no cover crop, this farm has a CI score of 24.8. The county average is 29.1. So reduced tillage, pretty okay yields, and kind of a normal cover crop or normal fertilizer program. Okay, this is kind of fairly typical. We're seeing a lot of farms that have a CI score kind of in this range. If you change nothing, this is worth about $52 per acre in top line. Maximum potential value would be around $52 an acre in tax credits.
But you're saying that doesn't all go to the farmer. We don't know what. So if it's,
that's correct.
If it's, I don't know. Can we even guess? I don't want to guess and be wrong.
I'm hearing some talk about 50%. If you're verified, it'd have to be legit. You'd have to have the data if you want 50% of the value. I don't know if there'll be more because the biofuel company, they got a lot of cost in generating these credits and stuff as well. And it's a tax credit. Okay, so there's some risk in it. It's a credit, like it's not necessarily cash that they've got coming in. So that's why there's some sharing in this. There's a lot of pilot programs going on today that are paying a small percentage of what we're looking at on a 2024 crop.
So, okay, so who is the farmer sharing that $52 with? Is that all the ethanol industry or what?
Ethanol company, third-party verifier, the data connectivity. If these tax credits are being resold, there could be a broker that's involved. The CPA firm, like putting together the actual opinion that gets sent to the IRS. There's a lot of MMRV players, the measuring, monitoring, reporting, verification, a lot of data connectivity, and a lot of, because it's a big equation that's got to be ran here for every single gallon of ethanol that's produced or gallon of biofuel. So the major players is the farmer and the biofuel company, but then you've got the MMRV players, and that's like where Continuum Ag fits. We help to facilitate building up these programs and cover, help to assist with that verification and data connectivity.
So if that's worth $52,
that's 52 today. So this farmer is just looking at typical practices. Let's say that we're not even going to add cover crops and no-till because we're already here at the end of November. It is what it is. I'm already vertical till or reduced till, and I don't have any cover crop. Let's just say we're not going to change anything. We're just going to go after more yield. What'd you say? We were getting an 8 bushel yield response. So I'm at 220 today. So yeah, you can type it here. Let's say we're at 228. Just an 8 bushel response. Let's just see just that.
Yeah, because that's what 4-year average on PheNom on thousands of plots. That's what
it reduced my CI score by not quite 1 point. And it improved my 45Z opportunity by $13 an acre. Plus, of course, I got the yield gain and the double that. So 8 bushel yield at $5, that's $40 an acre. So I got $40 an acre in more value of the corn, plus $13 an acre in more value of the CI.
So $65 an acre, not counting the corn.
Yeah. Now 65, so the farmer gets a percentage of that. Okay, so it improved my CI value by 1 point, maybe $13 an acre.
Okay, so look at it this way. If the farmer got 30%, that more than pays for the PheNom.
Yeah. But I more than paid for
and not accounting the added bushels.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I probably already paid for it with the added bushels, though, right? Now I've got this as another bonus.
Oh.
So, okay, let's take it. You were saying, should we just cut our anhydrous by 50 units? Yeah. So let's go from 165 to 115.
Let me grab that data set.
Let's see what that does.
Yeah, cut 50 pounds.
Now I cut my CI score by more than 2.5 points. Now my 45Z opportunity went up by what, $35 an acre.
Okay, but we probably got to adjust the yield. What was the original?
Okay, yield? So it was 220. So you said we're only at 3 bushel plus.
There you go.
Take that down. Okay, so it didn't change that by too terrible much. So now my CI score, I'm at 22.6. My total dollar opportunity of $79 an acre in the 45Z opportunity here. But I saved the money on the fertilizer and I gained a couple extra bushels. So I'm going to go sell that. So that's what's fun on the holistic piece of how all this ties together.
Yeah, because that 50 pounds in, the price of that changes every day.
Yeah, but I don't know what's it going for right now. Are we back down to around 50 cents for anhydrous, or I don't know what all we got.
It's because it's been coming up a little bit, but
maybe someone can. It depends on, obviously all that depends on when you priced it and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of movement.
Yep, lots of variables there, but everybody listening to you understands that.
Let's keep playing with this because hopefully this is fun. I'm having fun. Hopefully.
Okay, so what about phosphorus? Is there a phosphorus?
No, so this farm, because I only had the farmer, this particular farm once in a while would utilize some hog manure as well. So this is a scenario where it's a year where they don't use hog manure, but they're in a situation where historically they have hog manure. So that's why there's no phosphorus in there.
Is this one of your dad's farms?
No.
Okay.
No, this is Brad, my COO. I like using Brad's because Brad's is good because Brad's baseline and his historical farming practices was very conventional.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I like using Brad's. So, but let's say we got potash in here. Let's say that we cut the potash. I think this only lets me go down by 50%. But let's say we cut our potash by 50%.
Well, and think about this. Your dad's farm is averaging many years in a row with B4 from us at like 6 bushel to the acre.
Or more than that. Yeah.
That performs like a rock star at your place.
I think we put this back to I put these other numbers back to normal. Okay. So no change in yield, no change in anhydrous. We just cut our potash by half. Let's just see what that does. I don't think it's gonna be anything too crazy. Yeah, 0.3, nothing too big. So potash, again, like that's where cutting nitrogen made a big change.
Yes.
Cutting potash, not near as big of an impact. Okay. But if I can cut my potash, plus if I can grow like some yield because I don't need as much potash now for the yield, that's where it starts adding up. So when I'm looking at a P and K side of things, we're looking at, hey, can I cut? I'm saving some money on the fertilizer. Plus, can I get some more yield outcome? That's where we start seeing some of these gains.
Yep.
Now, to take and show where the big stuff comes in, let's say we're going to do this in a no-till system because we're going to get better residue breakdown, right? Better nutrient cycling. Let's put our yield back to 220. So all I'm doing is
hold on.
No-till.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Yep.
Because this is fascinating. I love this tool. Can I go to Topsoil, like you said, and have access to this tool and play with it, even if I don't have a field registered with you?
Yeah. This is no fields. Yeah.
Just
no
play
fields.
with these numbers.
Yeah. So here's how Topsoil works today. If you want to know your own baseline score, this number right here, that's $500. However, you can play with county average numbers totally for free. You could run a scenario, not pay $500, just be playing with county numbers. And so you'll see everything on the right-hand side. You just won't know exactly where you are today.
Correct.
But
you can play with the effects of how does
the change.
I just want to tiptoe into this nitrogen thing and just cut 20 pounds,
A little plug for yesterday, we launched our billion bushel challenge. So we have there's a lot of teams being built and discount codes and stuff available to actually get your baseline CI score. So definitely check out some of the things that we have there. But this playing around with this, running these scenarios, like you can do this as much as you want.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting you, but I just wanted to be clear on that.
So we're running a scenario here now where we're saying, hey, let's go full no-till. Maybe we got, we're going to get better nutrient cycling on by adding the other product, and we're going to cut our potash. That's it. My yield and everything was the same. So by going to no-till, now I'm cutting my CI score by some more, getting at $87 an acre CI value. So it's nothing crazy going to no-till. Now, this is a specific county. I believe this one is run in Champaign County, Illinois. The no-till factor is very influenced by your geography.
Oh, so not everybody's that 29.1.
No. These numbers are different based on the county that you're farming in. Yep. So that's why, like, hey, hopefully this is good and interesting on how you can be thinking about this stuff, but it is different for every county, and Topsoil runs your score based on your county that you plug in. You do that when you set up your password. It's on the initial page when you set up an account.
Who sets that county score? How do they know?
The U.S. Department of Energy. So this score is coming from the U.S. Department of Energy. This is not something that Continuum Ag made up, the scoring system. What we did is we built this tool to reverse engineer the scores so you can toggle your practices and see how it's going to impact your opportunity.
I want to go see the county my farm is.
Yeah. Plug in, just create an account, and with your actual county, your actual scenario. Now, let me show you the real fun one here. So now we're going to add cover crop to this. Recalculate on that. Now I've got real big reduction, and I'm looking at nearly $300 an acre.
Whoa. Okay. Hold on. I'm getting a little worked up here.
Cover crop is the really big driver. Okay. Now this goes back to, in the thinking holistically here, the best way in most counties in the country, the best way to improve your CI is plant a cover crop.
Okay.
Significant reduction.
Does it depend what cover crop I plant or blend or?
Nope. So
You
we're
mean
talking.
I could go plant some winter rye, drill it in, spread it,
Yep.
check the box. I did a
Check
cover.
the box. Now, this is a government deal. So put on your government hat here. What are they going to do of what constitutes a cover crop? They're going to look at, this is U.S. Department of Energy. So they're going to say, well, we don't know nothing about cover crops. They're going to say USDA. You're the ag guys. Tell us about a cover crop and how it should be applied. USDA has best management practices laid out there that have planting rate recommendations, that have rate and date recommendations. So I believe you're going to have to basically abide by that. And how are they going to check this? They're going to go to the other government agency, NASA. They're going to say, hey, can you help us verify that there's some cover crop out there? And they're going to say, sure, no problem. We got all these satellites. But they're going to look in the spring. So we don't have the final rules is what I'm getting at. There's not official guidance on this cover crop component yet. But if I was the Department of Energy, I would be saying, hey, USDA, can you help me on what constitutes a cover crop and all that? And NASA, can you help me on verifying that there was actually a cover crop out there? So meaning there's probably gonna have to be a little bit of some green hue out there in the spring. So
let's be honest. It's a government program.
Yep.
It's related to taxes. There's a chance of being audited.
That's right.
It's a slim chance, but there's a chance of being audited. You want to do it properly. So that leads me to my next question of when do we expect these rules? Because let's be honest, does the government do a program without a bunch of rules?
Nope. So the law was written, the Inflation Reduction Act. Now the IRS has to take the law and update the tax code. That's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the IRS, the Department of Treasury, to update the tax code. Now, what I'm suggesting here is that put on our IRS hats. They're going to call up their other buddies there in DC and say, how do we define what constitutes as checking the box that it's a cover crop? And how do we verify? And they're going to be asking around for these other entities and stuff. So from our side, we're preparing everybody that let's bank on that you do get audited. Now, for the most part, the audits aren't going to come from the IRS. The audits are going to come from the third-party verifier of the gallons of fuel and of the bushels. We work at a company called Eco Engineers. They're our third-party verifier. So all the farmers that we work with, if we're saying we're planting a cover crop, we're going to want to collect the information to prove that there was a cover crop. That is probably the receipt for the seed. If we got a shape file for the as applied, if we can take a picture out there in the spring, in Topsoil, we have a scouting tool that's geotagged and time-stamped, can utilize stuff like that.
Okay.
Because especially, I mean, people like, that's a significant financial opportunity there between the two. Again, I don't know what the farmer cut is going to be of this $292 an acre potential opportunity. That's the best case scenario top line. We don't know. Every single plant's going to be a little bit different. But if we're talking a $250 or $300 an acre type of deal, like we're going to have to make sure that we got some rigor to the data that we're capturing. And that's really why at Continuum Ag, we've been hammering on this so much, because like, wow, we've got a big opportunity here. And Steve, I think it ties back into this entire conversation of we need to be thinking holistically. Yes. Not every farmer is going to go to cover crops right away, because they're going to worry, well, what if I plant a cover crop and my yield next year is only, 200? And we could say, well, let's take a look at that. And that actually didn't hurt me by that terrible much, but that 20 bushel loss at $5 bushel, like that sucks. Like that eats into this financial opportunity real quick.
Because converting to no-till is difficult, and that's a hurdle for a farmer. And
so let's say we're going to do strip till. Let's do strip till with cover crop. So hey, if we're going to reduce till with cover crop, still maintaining that yield, now we're at this score of around 9.
Wait a minute. You said strip till, but I see the no-till not checked.
I unchecked it. Yep. So there's 3 options in here. There's conventional till, there's a reduced till, and then there's no till. In our system here, most of the people that are coming in are already in like a reduced till, and we just have this simplified as a just check the box one or the other.
So what's the definition of reduced till?
Yep. So it's, I believe it is that you have to maintain at least 70% field residue cover, or like I think it's between 50, yeah, something like that.
Okay. So
it's based on the percent residue cover. So if I till a strip of the field that I'm not disturbing the majority of the residue cover, I'm okay. And then I'm in a reduced till.
Yep.
So that's kind of the definitions around it. It's based on the amount of residue cover and soil disturbance.
So you could ease into the tillage if you're nervous about just going no-till.
What this suggests here is plant the cover crop and do like strip till or do like a reduced till kind of thing to ease you into it. Utilize some of these tools to help you to systematically cut and get to that more holistic system. But if you can check the box on a cover crop, it'll help you out a lot.
So the way you have them stacked in this work, I don't know what you call this screen, a worksheet or whatever.
The CI calculator.
CI calculator. So basically they're stacked in their order of impact.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Cover crop's the big one. No till. We already have most of our farmers are already doing some 4R, split applications, yes. Variable rate, that kind of thing. But then, this is basically kind of in order. Impact in the UAN is more impactful than potash, but essentially it's in order.
Yep.
If you can do manure, that helps out a lot versus synthetic fertilizer. A lot of ways to be able to do this. We are running out of time here. Hopefully this is a little bit different than some of the stuff in the past, but I hope folks have enjoyed. If you want to dig in on your own scores, we're more than happy to help you to do that. If you set up an account at TopSoil.Ag, you'll be reached out to by some of my folks who would be happy to help you to run your scores. Really the sense of just, again, like be thinking about this stuff for next year. Some of like the products at Dakota Bio might be able to help you to be able to really optimize this. They're working really well for us. That's why I like, just sharing stuff. We don't sell Dakota Bio. We're not going to sell Dakota Bio. All it is, hey, here's tools that we're working with to help us out. If they can help you, cool. If you got something that's kind of similar to help you along these lines, hey, that's on you. Like, here's different tools that we're using. I'm just, that's the intent here today. Educate, be thinking about this stuff. It's a big deal, really big deal. Whether you're playing in a biofuel place or we just got to be smart with our inputs as farmers. And so that's what this is all about. Steve, any parting thoughts? This was
I've hit you with a lot of questions, and that was kind of my plan, just to learn here and explain Dakota Bio a little bit. But thank you very much for having me on, and you're such a good resource, and we just love working with you guys. You got great people there. We love working with Continuing Ag and your family. You got a wonderful family.
It's been fun. It's been fun. Lots to keep working on here. Again, this will be posted. We're working on some next webinars. Usually I end with what's coming up next. I don't even fully know what's coming up next. We're hammering out webinars all the time. So watch our emails and social media. But everyone, appreciate the time. We'll see you all next time here.
Thank you.